Sammy Davis Jr. I had known since the days when he sang with his father and his uncle under the name of the Will Mashton Trio with Sammy Davis Jr. And at that time, he was only doing imitations of famous actors. And it wasn't until his manager, Bullet Sturcom, said to him, Sammy, you're never going to be a star until you step out there and sing in your own voice. And Sammy took that advice and became the great star that he was and the great talent he always was. Sammy Davis Jr.
You've got to have a hernia.
And I only came here to give Mike Nichols his award.
Isn't that great? You were the recipient last year.
Yeah, absolutely.
What did it do for you all year?
It got me a lot of benefits.
You know the good places to eat now, don't you?
I certainly do. I've been trying each one. I'm now down to page 69 here, going from one restaurant to another. Really, the Q Award, which is, funnily enough, we were kind of fortunate in terms of Golden Boy. We, we did the quote ads as they do with shows. But there are two ads that we keep all the time. And one is the Performer of the Year, which was the Q Award. And the other is the Taubman quote.
Yeah.
This is American theater and its American popular theater at its best.
Tell the truth, what'd you do? What time did you get up this morning?
You want to cry a lot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tell me. This is the Sammy Davis story in one day.
Well, this is the extra chapter of Yes, I Can, right? Who has a cigarette?
Right here.
Thank you. I was up today. Oh, my goodness, it's a candy tree. Got a good thing going. I went up today. I was on the set for a film that I'm doing called A Man Called Adam. We did location shots today.
Henny Youngman was on the show and said that he wanted a Danny's Hideaway, and there was a great setup of cameras.
Yes.
They now photograph you when you eat, right?
No.
Oh.
We were doing a scene in the film where I walk in to find Manny, who's an agent. And he's eating at Danny's, and I'm drunk and disorderly, and I walk in. But I had an 8 for 8:30, you being an old ex-alumni of Warner Brothers, you know what that means.
Oh, yes.
They say 8, for those people who are up front, I'd like to explain. 8 for 8:30 means at 8 o'clock you do at the set, and you have 30 minutes to make up. Since it doesn't take me that long to make up, I sleep a lot. So I have 30 minutes to sleep there. But we started at 8. I finished at 5:30.
Right. At which time?
At which time,
you rushed,
funnily enough,
at NBC.
At NBC, and did the Tonight Show.
Right.
I finished the Tonight Show at 20 minutes after 8.
At which time?
I ran to the Majestic Theater, sir.
And you did 2.5 hours of?
Of Golden Boy.
At which time?
I left there, sir.
Yes.
And immediately crawled to this marvelous stimulating cave.
That's why you have a hernia.
That's it. Actually, I really didn't want to come tonight because I was deathly tired, And I think it's reasonable, and everyone at Q Magazine understood. But then as I was sitting there taking the blood off from the fight, the last scene of Golden Boy, I was sitting there and I said, suppose Barbara Streisand had said that to me last year. Suppose Barbara Streisand had said, I'm not going to present the award to Sammy Davis because I'm tired.
Right.
I'd have been terribly hurt. Because I think it's it's sort of like a theatrical relay.
Right, and it means
Catch
a
it
lot.
ones that, he gives it to the next cat. And this cat must give it to the next cat. So that's it.
It's important. It's important. Hey, the new show, huh? Sammy Davis, you have your own show on television?
I'm very thrilled about it.
Did you wait a long time for that one?
All my life.
I mean, Broadway is great.
I've waited all my life.
Yeah.
Crack television. But to do what you want to do, you dig?
Yeah.
It took you, how many years?
47.
You're right.
Making records.
No.
83.
No. How old are you?
40.
I'm 42,
You're not older than I am.
I'm 40 also. I'm 40. Took all my life to get it. And funnily enough, 2 or 3 years ago, if someone had offered me a variety series on television, I would have said, oh, you're out of your mind, I don't want to do it. But in television, the climate always changes every 6 months. Suddenly Danny Kaye is on television. Dean Martin's on television, and the variety shows that are very successful. And I said, yeah, it would be a ball to do it. And I got kind of used this last year and a half of being with my family. So I said, if you guys believe that I can do something, crazy. And I must say, the biggest thank you goes to, one, NBC, for giving me the opportunity. Two, to the performers who have rallied, you know, to get the kind of guests I've got, guys who've never been on television. You know,
Richard Burton, Elizabeth Taylor,
Sean Connery.
Sean Connery, right?
But you beat me to it, didn't you?
Oh, on the singing thing?
Yes.
I brought you a message from him this summer.
I know
you
did.
Remember?
I remember very well. I never knew at that time, however, that I would be in living color.
Yeah? In what?
In living color.
I never understood what that means.
That means if you're colored, it shows it.
How involved are you going to be in the production of the show, Sammy?
Well,
Is it going to be everything you've ever wanted to do?
Yes, a little bit. Because I have a producer by the name of Joe Hamilton, who is married to Carol Burnett.
Sure.
Who has got more Emmys on his desk than any cat I know. But he's our type of guy. So this means that he has allowed me the privilege of condescending a little bit to allow me to say executive producer, right? But it's my company producing the show, but I really desperately wanted Joe. Because he said, I've seen you so many times, and every time I saw you on television, you were rotten. Well, like this. No, honest to God, this is what he said. Every time I saw you on television, you were rotten. So I went, it's the bad bite. You know. So I said, what do you mean by that? And he said, because you never did what I saw you do at a club. I never forgot that. Now, a year later...
I wouldn't forget that either.
No, a year later, I do a special for ABC called Sammy and His Friends, and I got Joe to produce it for me. And when this particular thing came up with NBC, I wanted him to be my producer because we think alike. But the kind of entertainment that people could expect from me if I was in Vegas or Lake Tahoe or the Copacabana.
And that you'll be able to live in New York, settle down, lead a normal life, take the subway to work, right? Huh?
What a revolting development.
Oh, what a long time that is from the days you used to walk down from Harlem and go stand out in front of the Copa, am I right?
Yeah.
I remember, I'll never forget that story you told me that night.
I put it in the book, you know.
Yeah.
It's a true
Oh,
story.
what a big seller.
I'm selling the bestsellers, chap. How about that? Thanks to Bird and Jane Boyer, I must say. We did, I looked at it. I sneak at the thing like this. I look at the Times. You know,
Yeah, the listings.
listing. I'm still there. And I close it quick. But it is, it's very marvelous.
There's nothing left to do, though, now, after this, is there, sir?
Yes, there is.
Now, what's your covered pictures? You're an author. You've been on Broadway, nightclubs, hit records,
No, there's more to do, always.
politics.
No, I have no eyes for politics. I like campaigning for people that I believe in, but I don't want to be involved in politics. Mr. Reagan can run for governor. I shall never be involved in politics. I say one thing. I think like all of us, all performers, we all have one thing. Once you take the knife, which is our talent, and you carve it, and you place it in the tree, now it is time to smooth it, to hone it, to make sure that that mark that you're making is a lasting one.
Right,
That's all I want, because you know we deal in intangibles.
right.
The only time you'll know whether the last show you did was good is when you run it at your house.
That's right.
Because the people at home don't have, it'll be a few years before Sony and them people put out them things, you know.
Yeah.
And they can tape it and run it again. But we all deal in applause, which is intangible. As you walk up the stage, the applause will die. But if you can carve something, and NBC has given me the opportunity to be the first colored cat that ever had a show, a variety show. And that's marvelous. That makes all the other 30 years worthwhile.
Right. That's great,
Yeah.
Sammy. Sammy, go home, will you? You're
Why
tired.
did you ask me here?
Because you've had
to go home. Now I'm here. Now
No, we
I'm
talked. But now you've had a...
No, I think I'm amusing, and I can stay.
But I'm worried about Mai and the kids and everything. And what time do you have to be up tomorrow morning?
8:30.
You're out of your mind.
I was out of my mind to stop here in the first place. I can lose my series for this. Do you know that?
For what?
But being on your show because you're not NBC.
We're not on television. We're just sitting here chatting.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm sorry I brought it up.
Sammy, a million thanks. And continued success, whatever you do.
Merv, I want you to go back to Warner Brothers and do some more marvelous films.
You're still rotten, no matter what they say.
And I want to wish you a lot of... Is this a little bubbly?
That's a little bubbly?
May I wish you the very best, you and your cast and crew.
Thank you.
Whoever they are.
I haven't met them either. Here's to you.